Probably, yeah. We'll call it in, Stony. How are you? How's the day going? How was the weekend? There was a weekend, apparently. I see. I see. Uh, I have a lot of issues as well. On my side, not that much, but I still do. That happens. That's kind of bad. But I mean, I get it. I get it. As long as the uh, recovery is fine, I think that's a good thing. As long as you feel better after a while, um, it's a nice thing to have some rest. Resting is neat. That's what I'm gonna say on this specific use case. Resting is a good idea, and you should probably do that, which is what you're doing, which is good. You know, the usual stuff. Ah, goddamn. God damn. Everything is broken. That's the that is the current situation. Everything is broken. I am broken. Uh, I've tried to do stuff and it didn't work, and I tried to do stuff and it did work. And then yeah, uh, I just had a thing tell me that basically the app on desktop, I don't know if that's a thing, but on desktop at least, the app is leaking memory, or at least that's how I interpret the thing. It's using too much memory constantly, and therefore it had to be killed in the background, which is not something that is supposed to happen, but still it did happen, so I don't know how that happened. Um, but yeah, it's not good. It is not good, and I don't know enough when it comes to technical stuff like memory leaks and other like not implementation but simplification to stuff, how to do it to make it work better. That's better. That is more light. But yeah, I don't know. And also, Cursor and other platforms is just like telling me lies for sure, specifically on the amount of the numbers that they're pulling off out of their ass all the time, telling me that I'm saving 50 megabytes to 200 megabytes of memory. You don't know that. You have no clue. So yeah, it's really not good. I don't like it, and yeah, mm, I'm gonna figure out some stuff at some point. But yeah, I feel like we are at the end of the, as I said last time, of the app build itself. Like most of the things that we have in there are good enough from my point of view. They're not great, but they're good enough, and I just added some new stuff, so that's good. The first thing that I added is in the detail section. I now have share or shareable view, something that give me the ability or give any user the ability to just share a card, so an image of some sort. I have like 4 versions for now. I don't think it's good. I think this one is good because it contains everything. This one is fine, but it's not great in terms of editorial and layout. That's a different thing. It depends on me. And having the ability to get like some colored background thing is a potential option. But yeah, hi, welcome in. Welcome back. How are you? How have you been? And also making sure that I have like light mode and dark mode switch. That's a very useful thing. The thing that I don't like though, if you look closely at the the family, I don't think you can read that, but nonetheless, the word that is in the center on the far right, if I change the background, sometimes it changed the word as well. And that makes no sense. I don't really know why, but it happens. So that's something that I need to fix at some point. So that's the first thing, but that's a good thing overall. And then the second thing that I added is a new page in the discovery view, which is the wish list, where you can have perfume that you want to have in your collection, but you don't have just yet. So you basically put them in your wish list, and once you have bought them, you can just, tap on them, add to collection, go through the whole system again. But that way, it kind of works. It's meant to be working for pre-filling the form and so on, but that is a potential. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Everything is broken, me included. So that's probably the reason. I don't know. I have no clue. I have no clue. Um, but yeah, other than that, nothing. Yeah, nothing else has been added in there. And most of the thing that pisses me off is that it's good, but it's not great. You know, that's sad. Like, it's fine. Anyone would be okay with that, I guess, to just check if the app is working and they just want to see if it's good or not good. It's working, it does the job, it does exactly what you're supposed to have. And you have your journaling and you have your previews and so on, and makes sense, but I don't know. It's just not great. So, yeah, that's where we are. Cat, hi, what morning? That's the thing. And yeah, other than that, the that's potentially and probably a very me bias compared to anyone else. But the more I'm using the app for myself, as always, because that's the main point in the first place, the more I realize that some of the things that I've put inside of the app are not necessary, not good, and not optimized for daily use case. So I am tempted to not have any of it and just remove a ton of features just because it just makes no sense. But then I fear, but that's also like the thing that you need to do, I know. I fear that removing some of these things would be removing stuff that other people potentially are using. So I don't know. I need to check. And for now, I'm gonna keep things in. But yeah, we don't really have enough information yet to be able to say, well, yeah, 100% this thing needs to be removed or not. Only because I'm someone that doesn't really care about data in terms of data tracking for the users. So I'm not aware of the user behavior inside of the app, which I should. I should have. But I haven't put any tracking in place in the app so that I know what the users are doing. So that's really bad. It's on me. That's an on me thing. I know. I know I can only blame myself for that. But yeah, here we are. Here we are. But yeah, I went as November happened. Um, that's November bag. One of them is not on the app just yet. These are the last 8, basically the top one, the 6 in the center, and the first on the bottom section right there, um, is this bag. So I'm trying 3 different brands for now, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, today is fine. It, on paper, it looks really good. Specifically, the notes look really nice for me. It's flowery. It has like dark chocolate and tonka beans and other cinnamon things. But in reality, it's not. It's fine. But that's it. I wish I had the words to explain, but I don't. So we will see. We will see. Um, so we have some news, half news. There will probably be little to no stream in December. So like last year, I think kinda, not exactly, but kinda, there is a high probability of no stream in December for many reasons. But like my sister is coming, or it's supposed to be coming in Paris at the beginning-ish, middle of December. I forgot how long she's staying, but she's staying, and then the family-related stuff is probably going to happen as well. So, you know, December is probably going to not be here, probably. So that basically means that we have 3 weeks left-ish, 2 weeks left of streams, and then I'm on vacation, far away, doing other things. I don't know. We'll see. But that is probably the case. So that's the first news. The second news is the fact that specifically the streaming stuff is not going well enough, and I don't know why. There's nothing that is like interesting for me to do on stream anymore. So that's the reason why the title is the title of today. As always, the reviews and helping others is the main thing that I like to do, but it doesn't happen as often as I want it to be. So many things to happen, many things to change. I don't know how, but yeah, things need to potentially be changing in terms of how I do stuff. I don't know. I'm out of ideas. After 5 years of streaming, I'm kind of out of ideas. So yeah. The other thing that, I mean, the other reason why that is happening is this bitch ass thing, me building stuff, is taking a lot more brain power than I anticipated, but also it's removing my brain power from the thing that I used to do. So I've been seeing stuff on Twitter and Threads and other socials of people sharing Figma prototypes, and these are the type of thing that I used to be hyped about. And now I'm like, well, you did that in Figma. That's a waste of time because you have something that is a predefined path that your user can take. It probably took you 2 hours to 3 hours to do the entire thinking of what was the UX for that thing, and so on. And so might just be faster in doing the prototype in Swift directly to just, you know, have something that works rather than something that fakely work. So that kinda yes, but no, still no. I'm gonna say that every time that you say it, which is good. I will consider myself a dev, or at least with a dev brain, when I can write functions on my own. And I said that I think 2 years ago already, so I'm not there yet. As I mentioned prior to other things, that fine. I have some issues here and there, but that overall, that syntax, fine. I get that. That's a visual thing. That more complex, and I don't know. So as soon as I have this in my brain database thing of, oh yeah, I can have like a variable that is used in that view, a variable that is used in that component, or I can have that component somewhere else, and so on, and understand exactly how things are made, then yes, I would consider myself a dev, but that's not the case right yet. So that's the situation. This one is just the home view, so it makes no sense. Like there is no real calculation of anything in there that represent what I'm talking about. But yeah, these basics definition of ifs, for example, an if makes sense, and I did one like this and is something that I added on my own without the help of an assistant. Uh, but the overall creation of like user preferences dot is extracted here, that's not something that I understand just yet. I know exactly what it is and I know what it means, as in, no, I know that. I know that the issue is not what it does, is the understanding of how to write it, the syntax. As I said, I think 2 years ago now, the syntax is what breaks me. The functionality, again, like that specific section here of what it does and why it works, I understand it entirely. Like it's an, if the user preference isn't an extract here because of the exclamation mark here, then we have the locked wish list card that is displayed. That makes sense. The thing is the definition of the is extract, and how do I define that in a way that is making sense in my head? Because, right, this is a very simple thing. It's either a true false statement right here. So this one is pretty much simple, but it's still something that in my head doesn't really make any sense. And yeah, that's basically what I'm missing out on these stuff. I will figure it out at some point. Like there will be something that just makes sense, but for now, it doesn't. So yeah, until I can basically until I can write these things on my own, until I can just go back and say, like with animation something, I know exactly what it does. That's the thing. I don't care about what it does because I know and I understand. I just don't understand the syntax. Like the syntax makes no sense in my head. Or let me just rephrase this. It's not that it doesn't make any sense. It's that I don't have the syntax. I'm gonna go back there because that's a very useful thing. Um, Basically, right now, if I need to add an element right in between these two things, and I know for a fact that I want this to be a text element, I know by now that from here I need a text, I need that thing to be called layer, whatever, and I want this to be using I don't know, title. I want that to use the font design that we used lately, which is the serif font with the italic version. I need that foreground style. Sorry. Foreground style to be red dot gradient. All of that is the syntax is good, but the definition of I want this text to be based on purely hi, we're calling. How are you? How have you been? How's everything? I want the main thing to be like if the color scheme is black or like dark theme or light theme, it's a different type of text. I know where I have this displayed and where I have that is defined. I just don't know how to write that by default, if that makes sense. So based on what I know that I will need like an environment object right here that would be one of the properties that is related to the themes, but I don't know what it is. That's the first thing. And then I after that I know kinda that in here I can have something like an is dark, which is not the case right now. And then you have like a something like this. The definition is that the is dark doesn't exist. And so in order for me to have the isDark inside of this file, I need to have the environment object that is related to the color theme of the device. And then I need to have my understanding of that syntax. That's the thing that I'm missing, and only then will I consider myself a dev, when I will have the ability to just do that without really specifically for these things that are in my head. Again, I know most people would just Google the thing to find the answer, which is fine. If I don't know these things that are supposed to be basics, system level environment things, I don't feel like this is a good behavior, at least not from me. So that's the reason. If I go into the home card, for example, I know that I will have in there somewhere um, here, right? That's the thing. If I have my environment object that is a color scheme environment thing right there, then um, I know that in there I have the ability to get the if kind of thing right here. Like if the color scheme is dark, I'm using one image or the other. So that's the thing. Mizzy, hi, welcome in. Welcome back. Also, congrats on the confetti for today. That's the only thing that I'm basically missing. It's these type of situation where I don't really know why this syntax makes sense and why is it I should type that. Is color scheme something that is global to a system level? Is it something that I have defined somewhere? Like that seems to be a Swift UI definition, which is good because that way I have like the explanation. Also, every time, as always in Swift, you have the explanation when you are looking at stuff and you go into the search and so on. But you know, like that's the type of shit that I kind of want to fully understand before I say dev, you know. Uh, so yeah. Um, and Chipolis, congrats on the design presentation. Was it good? I mean, I guess yes, but yeah. Um, and Mizi, you know, sometimes it's related to the time at which you decided to get um, the sub. So if you had it at like 3 in the afternoon, and that was the time at which you used your Prime sub, even though it is the same day, but it's not exactly the time, then it's not available. Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes it's not the case. It depends. Um, so that's the thing. I still can get over it. It's still getting around it. Still not a dive. Um, however, the thing that I was showcasing a second ago, um, that one, that specific end, is thanks to you, Stony, specifically. Basically, when we had the TypeScript, not TypeScript, but like the vanilla JavaScript course that I did while I was in Japan, and we went over the and or option in the if statements. That's something that I remembered at that time. And right there earlier today, I was like, well, I do have the count, and I know that this button needs to be displayed if the count is there. So I just did that on my own, and it works. So yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Have a good dinner time, gang. Um, so yeah, let me read that. Model design also coded the game. Congrats. Um, Now 32 of signs, 12 signs in wood and metal. That's crazy. Um, that is pretty impressive. Congrats on that. To produce that, so that is a lot of work. A lot of work. Um, they, yeah, that's a lot of things. Specifically the navigation and stuff. Um, is yeah, that's pretty impressive. God damn, I forgot that. Yeah, I will take a look in 1 second. Did I add this? I didn't. God damn. Oh, sorry, that I added like an animation at some point, and then the animation just went away. So I'm sad about it. Um, Damn. Yeah, I should have put it in English maybe, but that's pretty cool. Illustrations are really nice. That's an interesting thing. Uh, what's the name? Um, not this one. There is a mic that is a very common. I guess it's some shit like this that looks similar to this to me. In my head, that's the shape that I had. I was like, oh, that looks familiar to something I know. Uh, yeah, it's kind of the thing. I know that's not the point, no the goal, no anything, but like it kind of looked like the human, uh, whatever, uh, like these ones, but the tall one. This one is just like a 3,000 bucks situation, but yeah, they have one of them. That's the reason why it feels similar because of that dip and these two bars that are that like basically the same, and they have a taller version of this. Impressive. Brain is doing weird stuff. Uh, but yeah, that's pretty cool. Is it like broken in the other languages? Because you said um, keep the LT language for now because it's broken, or I mean, it does work, I guess. It has some shifts, but that, I mean, that's fine. I'm guessing it's probably made for mobile first, right? Um, so that makes more sense because this is like a bit too much space. I would say for mobile first situation, there might be some things that just um, could be changed. Also, I'm not on mobile, so of course there is like a ton of changes and stuff that don't make any sense. But like the size of the text right here, for example, um, is probably a bit too big for what it is on mobile. the distance, again, distance from your eyes to your screen is much closer to the distance from my eyes to my screen right now, and therefore the font can be a tad smaller in some situations. I would need to take it out and like take a look at it directly, but yeah, it's a pretty good thing. What are the animation you're talking about? Because that's a different thing. That's a different situation. Um, yeah, that's also a good thing. I agree with that. I agree with that. Ah, meh, it works. I feel like that's pretty good. Let me check something. That's much better. That is much better. Um, Let me check. It's a bit, it's a bit big, just a smidge. Like again, I'm fine with it, but yeah, it's working. That is a very specific thing that you're saying. 'Isn't it the same thing as earlier? Oh, that's the thing. 12 times? Or you mean here? That's 12. That's a lot of moving targets. It's a pretty impressive thing. Um, that's pretty cool. I don't. It might be a bit much, but that's pretty cool. Um, which I'm guessing if you only have, like, let's say 7, you will only have 7, yeah, borrows or location thing that you have mastered and checked and so on. So you only see 7 of them while things happen. So when you're scrolling through, that's pretty cool. It might be a lot. It might be a lot for like everything. In terms of animations and how the user is going to perceive that. But let me just do that. Yeah. It's just like the ones that are coming from very top are potentially distracting more than expected because you don't really know how things or why things are coming from the center of the screen. Um, but it is really cool nonetheless. Like, no questions there. That's really neat. That's really neat. I like it. I like the concept of this. What is this? Oh, neat. Maybe Twitch is doing the encoding on your side instead of doing this on their server. They manage encoding through the player so that the user is doing the encoding. It's not the case. But yeah, that's the thing. Nonetheless, this is pretty cool. The illustrations are really nice. What I would say is that they have like a consistent design except this one, which is debatable, but also it's a doggo, so I don't have anything to say. But these, they all have the same illustration style, which is good, except the tower in the center, which is like the only one that has a very different look to it. But, you know, that's interesting. Everything is the same vibe except this, so that's a potential that I'm like, you know, maybe you could have something that is a bit different in some situations, but you could also have, if you have the funds, if you have the person that is doing the illustration, maybe an illustration of the same thing, but with a style that is closer to this monolithic icon illustration type stuff, potentially, just to keep the whole thing flowing in one style. But nonetheless, it's really cool. You did good. So I get it. If you had to work on all of that and then you did the presentation and now you are just powering down and relaxing, that makes sense. It makes sense. Um, I see. Well, I think that's on purpose, but if it's not, it's kind of sad. That doggo right here, the shape in the background, if you cut it there, that's a doggo as well. It's probably on purpose. But if instead of going straight down there, you went straight up here, you would have another doggo in the map, and the shape there would be a doggo shaped for the doggo stuff. So, you know, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. It would make some of these ones a bit more pointy, so that might not be exactly what you want. But yeah, I saw that earlier and I was like, "Hey, that looks like a doggo. For sure." But no. Yeah, look at that. It feels on purpose to me. Yeah, I mean that's what I thought. But you know, um, it's pretty. It is pretty neat. You did good. You did good. That doesn't change. That doesn't change. See, a lot of dogo on my side as well. Yeah, no, we had not much. Everything is just nothing's happening on my end, which is really sad. And yeah, it's kind of bad. Let me see if I can find the thing in question uh, that made me say you should do that in code rather than doing that in Figma because that's a waste of time. I still feel like some of the stuff in question that I have in mind and that are made in Figma makes sense, but the one that I had like really um uh, was just that's just not making any fucking sense. It doesn't. It doesn't. Goddamn, we've seen so much. It's above that. I'm just trying to go back to where we stopped on Friday. Debshi, welcome back. How are you? How's everything? How's the gym stuff? Is it gymming? Oh yeah, all of these. All of these is crazy. I think we stopped somewhere around here. We had the Figma stuff. We talked about how kind of shitty it was for that image specifically to be the case. Um, you know, but yeah. Congrats. Congratulations. You found an interview. I had an interview 2 weeks ago, I think, or a week and a half ago. And the guy, which is headhunter in Japan type of situation, um, at the end of last week, sent me an email and said, I have another company that might be interesting for you. Would you be interested in me just giving them your profile? And I said, yes, of course. And I know it's Monday, but I haven't heard back. So yeah, and that company, that specific like headhunter company, is just they contact you, they say, oh, we have this thing that is interesting, and then if you get it, you you have another email, but if you don't get it, you don't have any information, so you can just assume that it's just you don't get the thing. That's about it. So yeah, it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. I wish I had, to be honest, I wish I had like the brain power to go to an accelerator situation because that's kind of making some sense, but also I hate them, so it happens. Um, oh, I thought that was tiny. It's not that tiny. It's kind of massive. Um, that's different. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool physical stuff to, God damn, that's the wrong button every time. This fucking website is the shittiest of all websites that I know for images. And that's the only one I know. So I hate it. But that's pretty cool. The fact that you have the QR code inside of the sign themselves, and then I'm guessing once you see one, you flash it, it goes into your map, and it's just get there. So yeah. Um, mm-hmm. I see. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Good job on that as well. So again, you've done like so much. You've done the design, the code, the presentation, the information, the physical stuff, and the graphic design, as in print and others. Then congrats. It's good. It's a good job overall. Welcome back. Okay. So the Figma event happened. I have tried to be put into the algorithm of all of the fucking Japanese people that went there and post about it. So most of my feed has been like Japan, Figma Japan stuff, designers in Japan talking about the Figma event, which is pretty nice to see. But yeah, most of it is just like duplication, so we don't have a lot of stuff to showcase. This one was pretty impressive. We don't need it, but particle is good. Card is a bit slow, but overall, it's pretty cool animation. You know, it's pretty neat. I just wanna get down. We saw that. This one is something that I like as well. Again, that's a very me liking Swift UI more than anything else based on these bitch ass thing. So simply having you have a text element that is a number. Knox, walk on in. Welcome back. How are you? How was the weekend? You have a number, right, in a string of text, and then you just add something called format dot number dot notation, and then you call that compact name, and based on the number itself, it's going to properly interpret the thing, and you can have stuff like compact name dot decimal, and then you have the amount of decimal you want to have. So for if it was like 1.2k, it could present 1.2 instead, and that's pretty cool. So like that's the type of shit that I like, because it's easier for everyone that are building stuff in iOS. Unbiased. Extremely unbiased. So yeah, that was fun, at least for me. Again, everything here is just Figma stuff. Figma stuff? Not really, but kinda. This one was really cool, and I really need to figure out metal. I've been saying that for the past 3 months, but goddamn. That's just a metal shader with interactabilities, and it looks so good. And I don't know how complex or uncomplex this thing is, but goddamn, they did good. They did good. This one was fun. I know that this is fake, like this is based on the edges and the way that it's like cut. I feel like this is really bad. But as a concept, using the Apple Note icon as a sticky note thing, and then you can just note stuff all over your place. That's a pretty cool thing. Technically speaking, really bad. These colors are going to be bothering you all the time, so you want these things to be just 3 lines and nothing else. And if you have like 3 lines, this most people are going to attempt to write on the 3 lines, which is like probably not enough for knowing things. So I would probably have 6 lines in there, twice as much for less or more height potentially. And yeah, so that people can take 2 lines if they want to write big and bold, and the lines being something like, I don't know, 20% of the opacity of these ones, so that they are really, really fine and not really noticeable, so that it doesn't bother you when you're writing. So yeah, it's a cool concept nonetheless. Cool concept. We've had stuff that we've seen, but that are not really useful. I'm seeing, and I think I said that last month, I'm seeing a lot of designers build stuff. As I said, like the designers right now have the advantage over the devs in building, because we have some sort of an inherited taste and functionality IDs that the devs might not have. So we have the IDs to build stuff, and now we have the capability of building stuff. But yeah, a lot of people are building things all the time. That's pretty impressive. It is pretty impressive. This one, if you haven't seen the Coca-Cola ad that was AI made, that person has made a representation of the truck, and specifically the truck wheels placement, based on what was on screen. And it's really impressive to see how there is not the same truck twice in the whole ad. That's crazy. It's also crazy that no one at Coca-Cola for this ad noticed that, because goddamn. But yeah, that was fun. That was fun. I guess, yeah, they press shuffle on the wheel every time. So apparently, really bad. Really bad. Um, we've had, I should probably do that, but that's a different stuff. We've had this one. I don't know if you've seen that. That video is not necessarily good, but this is crazy. This is the Red Magic 11, the latest from Red Magic, latest phone, which is the only phone on the market that is the flat phone that doesn't have a camera bump at all. And the only thing that I hate about it is the fan, and I said that on the 10, and I will say that again on the 11. If it didn't have a fan, I would use it and buy it, because it is so cheap compared to any other thing on the market right now. But the most important thing for me, it's fucking flat. Like, it's just flat. There's nothing there. There's no camera bump. There is nothing to distract you. If you put it on the table, it is flat on the table. I remember that they have, like, this thing is really cool looking. It's liquid cooling. Yes, kind of. I forgot the name. There is a very specific name. It's liquid cooling, but it's not like it's not like water. It's a very specific type of liquid in there, kind of oil and anti-freeze thing, whatever. The design is really cool. Specifically, when you take off the sticker that is on top, the design is much better. But the fact that this bitch is flat is crazy. And they're using some of the fattest battery ever, so that's really cool. And for you, Cat, specifically, it is, it's for you. But yeah, no, everything is so good looking. It doesn't have a front-facing camera visible, which makes it so much better than most of the other phones. As always, the camera is still there, but it's like under the screen because you don't take selfies anymore. It's fine, and if you want to take like a TikTok or whatever, you can film with your back camera if you want better quality or so on. Nonetheless, it's really cool. I like it a lot. And again, if it didn't have the fan, that bitch just makes so much noise for me. I'm the type of person that listen to electrical outlets make some noise. So it's 600 bucks, which might be expensive, I know, but it's not that expensive. It's yeah, it's 699. It's not that loud, but it's just you it it will run every time the phone is charging, as far as I remember. At least on the 10 that was the case. So if you plug it in, it spins. And it just it's the sound of a mosquito. That's the thing. But it's a constant mosquito. So you have a bit of a teeny tiny thing in the background. It's the same thing as a fucking electrical outlet that makes the noise. You know, the electric sound, if you have that as the ability to hear the amps, it's the same thing. And it's so sad. It's so sad. But based on what it is and how it works, it's pretty impressive as well to look at. Yeah, that's the wrong thing. To look at the fan itself, I think it's right about here. I mean, look at the video. I don't know. Both work. The thing that he does for the specific, like right here, you have the sound and you can kind of hear it a bit. He does a test right about here. That's really cool, nonetheless. This is really impressive. The fact that the fan itself is able to just blow out the flame, given it's a fucking flame. But, you know, that's something. That's something. But yeah, nonetheless, this thing is pretty nice. He tries at some point to put like a blade or pick or something to stop the fan so you can hear it a bit more. And it's not much, but it's just it pissed me off. Again, without the sticker, I feel like if they didn't have the sticker, it would be so much more impressive. Because this is really cool looking, and it just hides so much, and it's so much better. It is so much better, nonetheless. So yeah, that whole phone is really cool. He did showcase everything. Beige, hi, welcome on in. How are you? How have you been? How's everything? How's the 13th kid? No. I don't. You don't have 13. You just have 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. Yes. No, Chris is 13, but Beige is also. I mean, he is in the kids category, the have kids category, which is like, I don't. Uh, it happens. But there is a new one. There was a new one a year ago or 2 years ago, that I remember. So, yeah. I mean, technically now it's probably like 3 years ago by now. So, yeah. So yeah, that's a really cool thing. I was right 3 years ago. God dang, that's fast. But yeah, it's a very cool phone. I think it's gonna be pretty nice, and the fact that it's like 699, you know, that's pretty cool. It's probably gonna be 899 Canadian and 1,000 Australian, knowing the changes. Um, but yeah, yeah, but 700 is cheap for what it is. Like again, the a phone that would be kind of similar. Um, I guess it's gonna be the 17 Pro Max, but we don't have the price here. But yeah, the Pro Max is technically specificationally speaking, it's kind of the same thing. And I feel like this one is like $1,000, if not more. Um, so you know, eh, I think it's more. I think the Pro Max is like 1,400, so it's like basically half the price. So. Mm, mm. I mean, the thing that blows me away is right now are the 7,000 uh, milliamp batteries that are like basically more than 24 hours of battery for sure. That's pretty cool. So, because it has two screens. um, God damn it. This is. Well, Chris, what calling? How are you? How's the day going? They said 720 here, which is basically the same price, but there was another one. I think the spec'd up is 1,000 or something. But yeah, it's impressive. It's impressive. I like them. I like them phones. Nonetheless, moving on. We've had other things. So Lucia has been getting the iPhone Air, returned it 14 days later, or technically 13 days later for the 17 Pro or 17 Pro Max, and then complained about it for a week. And now back to the Air. So that's pretty interesting. I feel like based on where I when I tested it in store, most people that are not tech savvy and not really interested in like tech in general, the Air is the best um, compromise for everything for most people. However, it's not a compromise when it comes to the price because for the same price you can have the Pro Max and have way more stuff in there. But you know, that's hmm, that's interesting, nonetheless. With idea to reduce screens to the necessary ones, less screens and options are better. What do you mean? Screen time or just screen in your overall setup? So yeah, that's a just fun stuff. Um, this one was fun for me because I think I went there. Specifically this. I kind of remember this view. Um, but yeah, that's kind of fun. That's the only reason I liked it. That is the only reason. Apparently, for the people that are like me and on the internet so long, so much, and interested on the internet and so on, Andrew, which is like Blender Guru, is apparently creating a Donut 5.0 tutorial. So there might be a new series tutorial things of learning Blender from scratch using probably the latest version of Blender because a lot of things have been added. And that's always a good thing to either refresh, I guess. Yes, refresh your knowledge on what Blender does based on the new tools, or just start from scratch with anything. So yeah, if it's coming soon, that's really cool. That is really cool. One of the things that is kind of wild to me, um, but also, I get it. I've known about Andrew for a long time, since I think the beginning, the first time I tried to use Blender a long, long time ago. I probably have watched some of the video that he made in some of the earliest version of Blender. Not so long ago, hence like 3 to 4 years ago, so not so long, but still kind of. I learned that another YouTuber that I'm watching most of the time is family related, as in brother and sister. I had no clue because they don't use their names. And yeah, that was kind of fun. That was kind of fun to see that the family, both of the childs, are doing YouTube full time and killing it. So there is probably something in the genes in there. And then the sister is currently, I think, um, married to someone that is doing YouTube-ish in Japan for cars and photography. So if they have a child at some point, if that's a thing, the genes of the YouTuber and the content creation people are going to be passed down from photography to cars to video editing and so on directly. So that child is going to be very specific. Nonetheless, nonetheless, um, moving on. We've had other stuff happen, but not that important, not that interesting either. This was really cool. This is a bit of a mix in between Unicorn Studio and the Lendo website, I think, that we talked about 2 months ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. That's the exact thing. This is the Magic Canva or Magic Reveal on mouse animation thing. And it's really cool. It's really simple. As always, going back to what people have said on TikTok and other platforms, this is one of the easiest thing to achieve, specifically when you have these as options, and people don't realize it. So yeah, that's it's just cool looking. This one is really, really nice. The presentation of the aquarelle pastel thing is really neat, and we do like the creations. We do like the creations, as always. As always. I feel like I missed something. 1 second. Um, what happened? I don't know. Something happened. Um, we had other creations, but that doesn't matter. This one was interesting to me because it is once again the same logo as everything else, and I don't know how I feel about it. Um, it's a good logo, don't get me wrong. It's a very impressive thing. it works with the name. If the name is Prism, these are kind of prism shaped, so that kind of makes sense. But then it is so close to the Mobbin logo. It is so close to the new Webflow logo. It is so close to all of the other logos that are basically three fucking lines. And I don't know how I feel about it. It's good, but it's too common nowadays for me to be like, yeah, that's the good stuff. I don't know. Just just details. Just details. We've had, and Chris, that's mostly for you, because I know you like Nodes editor and so on. These ones have been on my feed for a while. I don't really know how they have created these organic wavy strings because they are kind of animated. But if you are creating a node editor and you have node links like this, success for sure. Success for sure. No questions asked. It doesn't matter what the thing is doing. It's just like, it looks cool. But that's it. Nothing else. Radiophone has done this thing, which we kind of talked about before. Not specifically this one, but we had the same idea. So they are using the angle of the phone to reflect inside of the camera in a way that is natural and organic. So the most vertical, or the more vertical it is, the more front on the light is, and then with the tilt there is like calculation to make sure that the thing is on point. But it looks really nice, and I feel like a lot of new apps are probably gonna have things like this added to the entirety of the app and website and things on device, so that if you have a gyroscope and an accelerometer on the device that you have, you will have the ability to tilt and shift and things for the layout, because it makes sense. Because it makes sense. So you know, it happens. I mean, Julien is pretty right on this one. This is a very French thing to say, kind of a French person complaining. But disappointed in iOS 26 for this one specifically. I am on the same team here because if I tap on delete, I'm expecting the thing to be deleted, not to have to go to the other side to delete something. That's the first thing. I'm also not expecting to see the corner radius go flat, and then once you say no, stay flat and then just get back in there. That makes no sense. And then lastly, these buttons, in some places, they are capsule buttons, meaning that both sides are fully rounded. And in this case, it's just not the case. And in other cases, you have the button above and text underneath. There is no consistency in whole iOS native apps, and that makes no sense. And the disappointment is just like really, really sitting. And that's really sad because it was supposed to be good and it's not that good. So, you know, it happens. It happens. This one is fun for many reasons. If you've been on the porn side of Twitter in the past months, I see you. You probably have not seen that. There is a new trend currently on, specifically, I haven't seen that from a lot of other creators than the Japanese people. They are the one that are doing weird stuff. But the Japanese porn accounts are currently using Twitter load in 4K to basically have fully hidden content on the feed. But if you click on the image and then you load in 4K, it then loads the image with details. It's really bad, but it's basically the moire effect that we have right here. And it takes, from what I understand of how it is, they have like a one pixel line of colors that are not colors, followed by 1 pixel of the image itself, followed by one color's gray line things. And so when you are loading this image in 720p, it blurs every 1 pixel, and so you end up with a gray image, and that's all you see. But if you have like the load in 4K, or just you load the image, but the like default on the phone, it just doesn't show anything until you load in 4K, in which case you can see stuff. So it's interesting stuff, interesting trend, at least for now. And I'm only seeing that on Japanese TikTok, not TikTok, Twitter for now. So probably haven't seen that, but you know, it's a fun stuff to see. That's what we're gonna say. We've had other things. This one is a crazy one, which basically you need to look for objects inside of the tray of noise and then put everything in the bin to go through the capture. That is such a wild thing as a concept. I don't know if it's a true concept, or I mean, I don't know if it's a true thing or if it's just a concept, but nonetheless, I'm doubting any AI can pick up stuff, visually speaking. But then I'm also thinking about the fact that if it needs to pick up something, there is only like 3 elements in there that can be clicked and grabbed anyways. So a bot can probably just click and drag pretty easily. But nonetheless, it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool.
Jeroen van Wissen raided my stream with 8 viewers.
At this time of day, you're in. Welcome on in. Thanks a lot for the raid. I appreciate it. For those of you who don't know me, hi, I'm AOA. I'm the helping designer. So if you have any design question, as always, feel free to ask anything. I hope the stream was good. Interesting to see you stream during the day now. Good you. Welcome on in. I'm guessing it's Marcy. But might be a marquee. I don't know. No, that's a Marcy. Welcome on in. Thanks a lot for chatting. I appreciate it. Was a co-working stream. I see. AWG, welcome on in. I think, I mean, you probably did. I don't know shit. I have no clue. I don't know shit. Max, 3rd place. That's all I know. That's all I know. And I don't know much. But yeah, welcome on in. Thanks for the raid again. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You did age +1 yesterday. Congratulations on the rotation. Happy next rotation, I guess. Yeah, you get XP and back pain. Yeah, that happens. Congrats on the back pain. It's probably mostly the knees, right? Yeah, I get it. I get it. Ah. Congrats on that as well. That's a lot of breaking stuff. That's a lot. But yeah, no, I saw this. I saw Max position 3. I saw the crash from 2 days ago or yesterday, I forgot. Which was really, really scary, but also really good in terms of safety features on the track, which I'm really impressed by. And as always, I don't know shit and I'm not following it. It's just like in my feed all the time. So I just see stuff. Um, but yeah, from what I've learned, impressive to go from P16 to P3 and then pit stop to P3. So impressive. That's all I know. I don't know much more than that. Um, I also don't fucking understand, and I know that Kat told me that at some point I will have like a bit of a class and a course on what the fuck's happening because I don't understand. But there is like 71 lap. That seems like a lot in my head, but also with the speed of the cars, I get it. But I also feel like somehow that's a lot of laps. Um, and I also don't fucking understand the rules because there are apparently rules that just makes no sense to me. As in, is it like the Verstappen rule or something where you can't block someone that is behind you more than once or more than twice or something because you can't be assertive of where you are and just make sure that they don't go through? Which that, I mean, it should happen. It's a race. I don't want people that are behind me to go past me, so I'm gonna do my best to not, let them pass. But apparently, you need to let them pass at some point, which makes no sense to me. Uh, so, I don't know. I don't know. And also, I've seen one that was saying you need to let someone behind you pass. Like you need I think the radio comms was saying you need to let whatever pass. Um, so it's wild. I don't know. I I don't get it. That's all I know. Yeah, I mean, again, to me, if you go out of the track, you're out. Like I'm basically in the basketball rules where if you have the ball in your hands and you are outside of the court, the ball's out. Like that's it, and the game stops, and then there is like a free throw or something. So if your car is fully outside of the track, you should be out. Like that's in my head, so you don't cut corners. And yeah, but apparently that's not the case. And the other thing that is kind of weird is like the penalties, the time penalties makes no sense. Like if you cut a corner and you pass three people, you get a time penalty, but then your time penalty doesn't really add up to your position. And if you make a lap that is like much faster than the ones of others, but you had a penalty, then your fastest lap is not as fast because of the fucking 10-second penalty or something. It makes no sense to me. Like you fucking did the thing in a minute and 6 seconds. I don't know. But no, it's a minute and 16 because you had a 10-second penalty. It makes no sense. Anyways, I have no understanding of what I'm talking about. So let's, go back to this. Because I don't know. I don't know. This one was interesting. I kept it for one reason and one reason only. The first one being that when I looked at it, I was with the other glasses, which are more yellow, but nonetheless, this is a new trend thing. I talked about it. There is a lot of yellowing of images when it comes to AI generation of image, and a lot of people right now are adding cream background. That's how it's called for their website, and it looks as if some of their content was AI made, and or their initial goal was to make it more organic based. So having like a yellowish background is an old paper, like this piece of paper is a bit yellowy, not too much, but a bit yellowy, not as white as something, and so they are doing these differentiation of pure white and not pure white, off-white situations for their website, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, small detail. Small stuff, as always, we do like to see it. Um, and yeah, that was the main point on this one. Um, we've had other creations. The project that I've shown, how much do you think it should cost? So I have trouble estimating. Well, it depends on a lot of things. So the the full project that you have seems to be a very hands-on situations when you need to have understanding of the terrain, the environment, the placement of things on said terrain. So that's all the physicals is a lot of time and a lot of surveying to make sure that stuff are on point and in place and so on. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the design on its own, like coming up with the ID, coming up with the content, the outputs, and the animations, but also micro interactions and so on the website is pretty important. So that takes time. And then lastly, you said you coded the entire thing yourself as well. So that is also taking a lot of time. As always, time is what you price most of the time, but also you price the enjoyment you have while doing it. So you have two ranges and you have, you have multiple price points for multiple things, as always. The first question that I have all the time is that company that you're working for on this project specifically a big company or a small company? Based on that, that gives you like a bit of a range on if it's a small company, it might be in the 3 to 5K. If it's a very small company, it might be in the 500 to $1,000, depending on how much budget they have. If it's a big company, it might be in the 25 to 45K based on the amount of work that is in there. So that first range of depending on the side, like that's the thing. The thing is government budget doesn't really have a lot of budget, but they do, but they don't. So it's the situation where you would need to fight for the payment in a way. They would pay you really fast, usually, but you would need to justify your skills, which is kind of sad. But, right? So there is that. That's the first thing. You end up with that first range, and then you have the second range that is, did you hate it or did you really enjoy it? And then where you are placed on that range is a difference of price, positive or negative, for that budget. So let's say you are in the mid range and you really hated it. That's a plus 500, plus 1,000, plus 2,000, depending on how much you like the project. If you really liked it and you enjoyed working on it, or you would enjoy working on it, it might be like a minus 1,000 because you know that you will just enjoy doing the thing and therefore it doesn't really need to be compensated in a certain way so that you don't enjoy it, if that makes sense. So that's the thing. You have that second range that just give or take bump or decrease the budget that you allow yourself to do that. And then lastly, you have the hourly rate if you want to be paid by the hour. That's not necessarily something that I care about, but it really depends. If you're paid by the hour, let's say you are paid $20 an hour. How much time did you spend? Based on the fact that you had to do the work of a graphic designers for the physical stuff, a digital designer, like a designer for the website itself, a dev for the build of the entire thing, and probably a surveyor and a project manager for the entire understanding of the region, the placement, and so on. You may have a team, I don't know. Nonetheless, you have four hats. You have been doing the work of four people, so you are paying four people. Even if it's yourself 4 times, you're paying four people. So with that, if everyone is at 20 an hour, it's 20 an hour times four, and yeah, that's 160 per hour. Not really 160, it's 80 an hour, and then the amount of hours that you worked on that, and that gives you a range. That will bring the price really high and really fast, and then it's a matter of, are you comfortable with that price? Because, like, as I said, my um, biggest client pricing that I had was roughly around 120K. It was a multi-month project, but still 120K. And my um, smallest budget for client was a cookie. So the range is big. It was a white chocolate chip cookie, but it was a nice one. Nonetheless, it was a cookie. So, not the same type of budget, not the same type of project, anyways, and not the same length. But that's the thing. So for you, I wouldn't be able, like, from what I've seen, I wouldn't be able to give you a range or a budget or something based on what I've seen, because I don't know exactly all of these informations regarding your involvement specifically, how long it took, and I also don't know the budget that they have in the museum. So, yeah, the usual thing, if you can get that, if you have the ability to get what their budget is, like you have a call with them to ask for the budget and they give you like a range of something, and the range goes above what you had in your head, then go in the low end of what they are asking for, or what they were willing to pay, basically. If the if the range that they give you is going under what you had in your head, don't meet them exactly where their top level was. Like, potentially just go a bit under. Um, it feels like charitable, usually, and kind most of the time, when you say, "Oh, your budget is like 4K, cool. I could do that for 3,200, roughly, maybe 3,400, but like 3,200 is good enough for the amount of work, and it might be like, you know, it feels like you are not ripping them off, and they feel like they are getting a discount or a good deal out of it, because you could have said 4K, because they said, "Oh, my max budget is 4K." So cool, I'm willing to do that for 4K. So if you go under by an amount that is fine with you, um, so yeah. If you're ripping yourself off, ask for more, but I get it. There's a lot of things happening. Um, I hate doing the Google Stores things, Stony. I don't. Ugh. I hate it. I might. I could. I don't know. Maybe not. We never know. I have doubts. I hate. I hate store pictures. Makes no sense to me. um, in the feed right there, then I'm going back to the listing. In the feed right here, there is one post specifically that I have that is kind of new. I don't know if it's on this one or if it's on thread. No, it's this one. This one is an interesting concept thing. They basically just took a picture of their phone in their hands and added text on top. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Um, and that's simple enough to do. So, maybe you can do that. Anyways, back to this. So, in the why did I move back to this scene? That makes no sense. Um, in the tools that we're using all the time, and we've been talking about it before, and I kind of probably shared it here many times as well, but it better share it again. Um, this is something. This is one of the tools that I. I'm not saying that I'm recommending it because it depends, but it gives you a bit of an idea. It's the exact same thing that I said, which is what did you do? I did website design, I did app design, whatever. Let's say it's just website because it's broader right now. And the private, it's a small to medium client, I would say, or it's basically like a government thing, so it might be a large corporation. Um, you then have your rate, and let's say that again your rate is $20 an hour in whatever currency you have, and you worked for a very specific amount of hours for this thing. Let's say it was 40-hour week for 5 weeks. That's 200 hours. Kind of, I guess. Um, and then the project is pretty cool overall. It was fun to have. And after that, it will look good on your portfolio, and it's a nice project nonetheless. That is the price that they would potentially get and recommend for that specific use case. This is 5.7K, which is basically 6K, round up. Also, this is something that people have. I know I said that probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Um, I will once I can. If you say 5,006 like 698 is the price that we have, people are willing to pay 500 698 with no questions. If you say 5,700, people are like, oh, can we go 650? Because the number is too round. So having something that ends in a weird value that is not what people expect, right? We usually round up stuff, but having specific numbers and specific prices is a bit of a psychology trick that we use on sales to just say, oh, there is a reason for this very specific price, and therefore, in the eyes of the person that is potentially buying or looking at the invoice, they would be like, okay, so there is a reason. That's the price. That's it. There is no leeway for basically negotiating a different price because it's so specific. It's probably no options. So that's one of the things that I would highly recommend. Nonetheless, if you want to be like negotiating down, you can go at 4K if that works for you. Remember, what I have selected right here is only the web design. You have done the physical stuff, you have done the code as well. So there is a lot of stuff that you have like spent time on to work on all that. If it is something that you will hate yourself for it, you can see how much it is. It's almost twice as much. Um, and that's simply because it's a boring project, you don't like it, it's going to be 11K. Like, pay yourself for the inconvenience of doing the thing. So if I go back, to, God damn it, to what we had here, and let's say it's an app design for Stony specifically, um, which is for private client, no budget. My rate, sorry, is 160 per hours, and we have spent on it. It's been 3 years at 20 to 40 minutes per stream for the first 2 years. So I would say in total, we probably have spent a good 200 to 300 hours in total. I would say condensed is probably like a good 3 months of work, just condensed. So that would be brain 600 hours ish. Let's say that. 697. That makes no sense, but fine. The project is pretty cool, not gonna lie, and it will change nothing in my life. That's yeah. Not really. That so. uh, Let me explain. This is how much I get paid. Uh, on top of that, and I could just round that up to 600, to just potentially be rounder here, nonetheless. On top of that, on top of all of that, I will have, and I never know how to do that, so that's not gonna help in any ways. But oh, uh, yeah. So there is 34,000 that is getting out. For taxes, technically more than 24, but like 43,000 that is getting out for the taxes, the thing that I need to pay for the French government and so on. And then on top of that, if I have employees, if I have licenses, if I have other things to pay, that's also getting out of things. So yeah, it's a lot of work. Um, no, there is a difference in it will look good, good. On the portfolio, it's in there. It's in there. That's it. Yes, but yeah, yeah. So based on basically 80 hours times 80, that would be the thing. If you are doing the job of 4 people, it would be 80 hours times 20 times 4 if you are doing the job of 4 people. So basically 80 times 80. Yes. Um, yeah, it's based on what you're saying. The fact that you only have spent 20 hours per discipline, um, on each of the part of the project, that means that you probably have spent 20 hours on design, 20 hours on graphic design, 20 hours on surveying, and 20 hours in dev. There is different prices based on the work that you've done. Like, personally speaking, that's my hourly rate as a designer. I mean, technically, when I'm just paid by the hours, I'm a piece of shit, and I want this to be like you pay me as much as like you pay me for 1 hour. it's a lot. I don't. But usually people that are paying me at the hours are taking like 1 to 2 hours. That's it. Uh, so that's a thing. But if I was paid for my dev skills, I'm there. Like my dev skills don't exist. So you're paying me to orchestrate the things, but that's about it. So if I were to be like paid at a very specific value for that job that I'm doing, I'm not gonna want to be paid a lot. Like it depends on you, obviously, and it depends on your skills and how you want to be priced in that department. But for me, if I had to do some physical graphic design, I would probably be at 20 an hour. If I had to do something that is like marketing, I would probably be at 5 an hour because I don't give a shit and I don't understand it, but I will still figure it out. Um, if I needed to be on, again, dev, I would probably be at 15. If I'm on design, it's going to be 120 to 160, depends on the job and so on. But that's the type of thing that I'm doing. And so based on that, you can adjust. So it would be for you specifically, you would have job number one, how much do you have knowledge or how much knowledge do you have on this thing? How much confident are you in your outputs? And how happy were you when you were doing this thing? And then you move on to the next one. And you do the same thing with the different hourly rate and so on. So that's something. The C median is a good option as well to know how much people are getting paid most of the time in different regions, as always, to make sure that it works with you. So, for example, this one is in USD, and I don't know if this is very much the Paris version. I think it is, but the average median thing is 60K a year, which is 24 now. Like that's the average. In the top 90, there are people at 80, like at 42, which is almost double, and I am roughly around here, personally speaking. So that's not in terms of yearly salary, but it depends on you, depends on the location, depends on so much stuff that needs to happen. I'm at 20 years of experience. I'm roughly around here, but that depends. Depends on the type of things. So these ones could be useful. You will have some issues. This website basically requires you to log in and then pay for subscription. Some shit. It's not worth it, but it might give you a bit of an idea, nonetheless. So, could be good. Could be useful, as always, to give you some ideas. But yeah, nonetheless, that's a good stuff as well. And then here, this is dead apparently, which is kind of sad. Calculating your hourly rate, and we talked about it before. I have an entire thing dedicated to pricing. I think I called that pricing. Let me check. Yes, I did. So every time that we talked about this thing, most people are not necessarily in an agreement with me, but it's the simplest formula that I have. So when you go into your pricing, from my point of view, my day rate is my years of experience plus 2 zeros. And my project rate is my years of experience plus 3 zeros. And that's about it. Meaning that on a 1 day basis, if it's your first year, you're paid $100 per day, which is not much. We agree. But if you work 4 hours on that day, it's $25 an hour. So, that's something. If you work 5, it's 20. So work less. Um, but that's like the easiest thing, meaning that me at 20 years of experience, I am paid 2K per day as a independent person. If you just book me for 1 day, it's going to cost you 2K. And then I have taxes to pay on that, which is 25%. And then I have subscription to pay on that, which is like another 20%, and so on. So at the end of the day, I'm just paid something like $1,000 per day, which is not as much as I'm obviously presenting. But that's the easiest way of knowing how much you are worth. And then I also have another deterrent, which is right here, which is as a designer, I don't like small, annoying things. As in, you book me for an hour, that pissed me off. We don't have enough time to do anything. So it's going to be the most expensive shit ever. So I'm at $800 an hour. But then in my pricing theory, you understand that if you book me for a day, you're going to pay 1.6K, which is exactly what you would have if you just needed 2 hours of my time. You're going to pay 1.6K as well. So why not just go for the day rate and we work together for a day and you basically get something way cheaper than expected. And then you realize that the amount of work that we need to do is going to take roughly 4 days. 4 days at 1.6K is going to be way more than if we just booked a full week together. And it's the same thing for the months. And it's the same thing for the subscription. The subscription is 6 months minimum. And the project base is like, it's probably going to take 6 months as well. So, it's the same thing. So it's a deterrent, meaning that every time you go from one section to the next, you get more time with me, which allow me to think for longer and probably provide like a better output. And the less time you take, the more money you spend, because I need to think on the spot. And that's a bit more complex to do because I don't have all of the information. So that's the deterrent pricing that I use most of the time. And it kind of works. It kind of works. That is one of the reasons why my biggest client has been 120K once. That's it. But, just project-based, multi-months, it makes sense. So that's a system of pricing that you can apply to yourself at some point. The other thing that I did before was the calculation for websites, apps, and so on with the values that are supposed to be important for you when you're defining what comes into action. So basically you have, for websites, you have the amount of page that is defined by the amount of speed that you have per page. And then you can price the full website based on the speed, which is the time, and the amount of page. So if you know that you will probably output 1.5 pages per day of design, that means that if the website needs 6 pages in total, you would need roughly 4 days for this entire thing. And so going back to the initial scale, you go in 4 days. That's a lot of money. So you will probably price that as a week so that you have 5 days. And you will probably deliver in 3 days. But a client that receives something faster is happier than if they didn't. So that's the thing. Alan, hi, welcome in. I think your 3,000 pages are blogs and articles and things, which is based on the CMS, which doesn't count as a page, at least not for me. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. If you need 3,000 pages designed specifically, well, that's gonna cost a lot. At the speed of 1.5 page a day, that's a lot. But yeah, no, if it's the blog stuff, that's pretty simple. because it's just like you design the CMS once, and then you have um, one or two of the blogs that have custom pages because they needed to. Otherwise, they make no sense. So that's a bit of a different thing. But yeah. So yeah, that's the to release. That's the whole pricing system. And when we did this one, I kind of displayed this as a presentation. Um, so it kind of helps to understand the time 3 times 4 for the day rate. For the monthly rate is basically I'm not working more than 4 hours a day, probably, and I'm probably not working on your project more than 3 days a week because I have other clients. So therefore, my monthly rate is going to be roughly 20K. It happens. You know, it happens. But yeah, if they are all the same templates, that doesn't really matter if it's the same page and it's just like, oh, that section changed. That doesn't count as a new page. Otherwise, that's just criminal of me to make you pay that much. But yeah, I get it. I get it. Did you change the color scheme, by the way, Alan, on um the big ass page that I remember? Yeah, I think it's good that most of the pages are similar and all the same, to be honest, for familiarity and that people kind of recognize what is in there and like what can be done and so on. Like that makes a lot of sense, at least from my point of view, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah. Yeah, I looked at it. It's pretty. Was it there? No, there. No, you posted that on the. Why did you post that? I saw that a second ago. Oh, you posted that here. That's the reason. There. It's a nice concept overall. I mean, it is a self-promotion, but I feel like it's a nice read anyways. So you could go into reading list for most of these things. Reading list is not like just me. Most of the things that are posted in there are just me, but like, you know, it's an article or something that you want to basically have access to and other people to read. So I feel like this is a pretty good place. But you can post in both. You can post in self promo and other places. It's fine. It's fine by me. It's fine by me. Which, by the way, Stony, if you're not passed out, this is a pretty interesting thing as well. This just popped up. So this is Valdi, which apparently is Snapchat's owned in-house compiler. That is basically you write the code in TypeScript and then it output native code in both languages. So that's impressive. And yeah, from what I understood, and I didn't understand much, but from what I understood, this is the thing that Snapchat has been using for the past 8 years in-house. and they just open sourced it last week. And so, yeah, that's a very cool thing to see. Similar to what happened in the latest release of like Swift being able to run on Android by default now, and Kotlin to be able to run on Swift or iOS as well with their native language. So all of that is pretty impressive, and everyone is doing kind of the same thing. But this one looks interesting, and I have no understanding of how that works and that happens and so on. But it's interesting. So nonetheless, that goes it. That goes it. But yeah, nonetheless, this thing for font, it is something that takes so much time, and it is a rabbit hole of figuring things out to just make sure that you have the right font size, the right adjustments, the right things working, not working on most platforms, all platforms. But it's fun. It's fun. So yeah, that's the pricing discussion. It's usually going the same way. We are presenting the new school pricing thing, then we are presenting this stuff, and so on. It's not like that complex overall to figure out like the pricing that you have or you need, but it is something that will make your life easier if you figure out exactly like how much you want to get paid and how much you feel comfortable with. Um, in the thing that I didn't necessarily like talk about earlier, in pricing yourselves, there are stuff that you need to do prior to price yourself, which is how much do you need to live and how much did you spend while working. So that is something that is supposed to be included in your pricing by default, as in you have subscription, you need to pay rent, you need to pay other things, how much clients you have, and so on. If you only have one client, that goes on to like 50% goes to the client. The other 50% is on you, but like that type of shit. So basically, if you know that you have your subscription to Figma that needs to be comprised in the bill that you are selling. If you are paying for fonts or you have other subscriptions, same thing. So for me, for example, I have like what we call incompressible in French. I don't know if that exists in English. That's a different section of the brain. Nonetheless, it is something that basically is to be included in your invoices that every client are going to pay, and that basically means that once you have one client for 1 month, your bills are taken care of, kinda, almost 100%. And then any additional clients, even though these bills and incompressible bills are included in the invoices, even though it's like hidden, but it's part of your fees, you are saving for the next months. That's basically the idea. So you have like your incompressible. God, that's very weird to say in English. Incompressible, that's very French. You have your bucket of things that you can't really get out of that needs to go through before you can get paid. Like that's basically what it is. So all your subscription, all your phones, all your general bills needs to go through, and then after that you need enough to survive on that month. So depending on how much you need, that's your minimum. So for me, for example, I know that I usually spend, and I know I'm luxurious and bougie and whatever, but I usually spend roughly around 3K a month. So by default, my minimum price is gonna be 3K ish. Like that's roughly what it is. If I have more, if there is like a lot more stuff to do, as in I'm taking a new subscription, I'm testing a new tool that costs a lot more. Specifically, if you are thinking about like all of these new AI tools that are costing an arm and a leg every time, and you are testing them as well, you can basically spread out that cost to other clients if you have more clients. And so that's the thing. So basically, for me, these 3Ks are my base incompressible bill that needs to happen and be paid, and then anything above that is profit. But I basically need to make 3K minimum before I can be in the profit range to save for the next month if I don't have a client. That's basically what it is. So when you are calculating and defining how much you want to get paid for that thing, make sure that you have that specific pre-bucket allocated in your head, and then add up on top based on how much you want. So that's something that I do now kind of unconsciously, because it's something that I've been doing for so long that I'm like, yeah, that's the base. That's it. But if you're not used to that, just make sure that you go through your bills, you go through your subscription, you go through how much you spend per month, to make sure that you just don't undersell yourself, and that you will be good enough or in a good enough position to stay alive the next month. That's the main idea. Right? You need to make sure that you have enough for that month and then enough for the beginning of the next month to find another client if that's not the case. So yeah, again, if that client specifically was 20 hours of work, 4 times, it's not a lot of work, but still a lot of work. You know, it needs to be paid. That's the thing. Yeah, I hope that helps. I know it's a lot of information about pricing, and I do talk about pricing a lot, but yeah, it's a pretty important part. It's a pretty important part. You need to get paid. But get your base. Yeah. I mean, specific number is so wide, I can't really give you any specific number because I don't know enough about the product itself. That's the reason. So the only thing that I see is the output, and that's it. So um yeah. Yeah, that can happen. Um yeah, no, the thing is, it's not that super wide. It's mostly because I don't have the information. Because the amount of work that you've done, I'm sure you have the information on your own of everything you've done and how much time it took. Um, Again, if I price myself for this, given that it's probably going to take a month and a half, 2 months to figure out everything, and potentially 2.5 months of work, this is by default going to be in my project package. So for me, this is 30K minimum. But that's like, I need so much more information. So that's the thing. Yeah. But then again, it I have had clients in the past, as I said, where I was like, well, the products are pretty cool. And right now I'm not in need of money. So a cookie's fine. Like that happens as well. So, you know, that's the type of thing that did happen in the past and didn't change who I am and so on. It's the same thing as someone asked yesterday, I think, um, like, or was talking about the fact that they received an email from one of their clients that is using one of their services for their business. Like it's a business suit for their sub client. It's kind of whatever. And basically, what they said is like, well, technically, right now we are short on money, we are short on funds, and so it's going to be complicated for us to pay for the business suits for the next 3 months. And like they just ask, would it be possible to just have it for free for the next 3 months so that we can make sure that we are getting back on our feet and then we're gonna pay again. But like, you know, like we need to post this thing, but we need this thing to make business. And the good thing to do here is just say, well, yeah, like as long as not everyone is asking, and you are the only one this month, and 3 months of work where you will use my business to do business and to make sure that then you will remain with me as a business for the next thing that you need through my business. Yeah, it's a nice thing. And right now I don't need the money and therefore you're good. Go ahead, use that for free for the next 2 months. And if you can recoup what you owe me, maybe I will charge you double the next month. I don't know. It depends on you. If you want to be fair and it doesn't matter, or if you just want to be friendly and just offer that for free for the next 3 months, it's also an option. So that's the thing. So for your project, nonetheless, museum don't really have a lot of funding. Government does. The fact that it's something that is probably meant to revitalize some sort of tourism inside of the city, plus revitalize the citizen activities around the city for them to discover other parts of the city that they usually don't go to or they used to go and then they don't go anymore. There is some budget for that, for regions, I don't know, revitalization shit. So there's a thing, but you need to know how much they have, because if you come in and you say, well, that's going to cost you 40K, and they're like, well, our budget is 4K, you're like, well, shit, I've worked for 40 hours, 80 hours, 100 hours on this thing for 4K. That's not good. So you would, I mean, in my eyes, again, you would have had the discussion about the budget before you worked on it, but it happened. Like the one that I did for Figma last month, um, same thing. Like I had, what was the brief? I just had the brief through chats on Twitter, goddamn, because she had my contact there, and that was the easiest thing. So we did that. And then she basically contacted me on a Friday evening for the Monday. So she needed something basically the next day. And so that added a rush fee. And the rush fee was $1,000 as far as I remember, just because of what it was and how fast I am and so on. So at the end of the day, we had a very interesting price for the entire thing. It worked for me, it worked for them. I think I was lower in their range of people getting paid. But yeah, I don't know. It's also Figma, so obviously they have some money right now. So that's the thing that I took into consideration when I priced myself. I know that Figma just went IPO, therefore they have some money for marketing specifically. Therefore, I can bump my price a bit compared to the usual thing. And it was like an influencer business. Therefore, that's not necessarily the type of thing that I do most of the time. So compensation for that as well goes into consideration when I'm pricing myself. So much thing to think about when pricing happens, but it's neat though. I like pricing. It's fun. No, I'm not Figma sponsored. I'm in the books of Figma influencers. So if they need someone that is in the lower level of followings, like micro influencers type of situation, I might be contacted again. If they need someone that does illustration inside of Figma to showcase how crazy you can go inside of Figma, I might be contacted again. But I'm not like I'm not Figma subcontractor employee thing where I can't shit on Figma. I can, and that's what I love about it because it's shit at times. Uh, I don't need to just say nice thing about Figma, which is good because they are doing something that needs to be changed. And if I can't be voicing my opinion in a negative way toward a positive outcome, I'm not taking it. So yeah, I had to for the next 30 days, which is basically in 2 days, I have to basically validate all of my tweets if I had signed that contract. I would have to validate all of my tweet with the marketing department at Figma if I was about to tweet about Figma. So that they basically would have to go through the wording, the phrasing, the pictures that I'm sharing, and so on. But that's not part of the contract that I had. But yeah, it could have happened as well. So yeah, yeah, I kind of hate it, but it makes sense. The other thing that they had in one of their contract was, which I basically had to sign, was for the next 30 days after this the invoice was sent. So basically on um, September 30th to October 30th, I wouldn't have been able to work for any of the competitors of Figma. So if Framer was contacting me for something similar, I wouldn't have had the ability to do so. If Sketch wanted to do the same thing, wouldn't have been able to do so as well, based on the contract that I've signed. And so, not NDAs, but like similar to exclusivity clauses couldn't go with competitors, which makes sense. But it's fucking annoying that it's like a 30 days thing. And in that contract, they say unless discussed otherwise. So you need to basically know about that before, which is fine. But it's one of the many clauses. And yeah, but at the end of the day, it was nice. But nice to be able to get like in their books, which is the most important thing, at least from my point of view, so that they have my name, they have my contract, they have my bank account and everything that they need. In terms of later, they need another French designer thing for something, they can contact me. They need a Tokyo-based designer if I'm going back, when I'm going back, they have someone as well. So that's the thing. Same thing as well. But that's something that I didn't talk about. My prices in France are different than my prices in Japan. So the work that I did right there for them was for France. Therefore, it was priced for France. If I was living in Japan and paid in Japanese yen, the prices would have been way different because I know how different the salaries and the outputs, financially speaking, are in different countries. So, for example, if I was paid or working for the US, my prices would have been higher in terms of values than what I would be paid in France. Same thing, like same output. But yeah, good to know, nonetheless, good to know. It's just a simple thing, but it just helps so much in understanding where things are and how you get paid better, more, so on. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff nonetheless. We do like it. We do like it. We've had a lot of cats going back through the feed and the overview of what happened. We had a lot of cats, really cute cats. That's about it. Nothing else, to be honest. There was this earlier today, which was pretty impressive. The the thing that is really sad for me is the fact that they are currently doing, and Julian specifically, is doing a lot of post right now on what they have done for Dots. And Dots is an app that is currently dead. And the sad part is it was a very good app. It still is, but it's just dead. It doesn't work anymore. So that's really sad. Nonetheless, they are presenting a lot of really cool micro animations in macro transaction. A lot of things that people have been talking about here, right there, is this. The fact that there was so many details in the app itself that they didn't really see because they didn't pay attention to these things because it felt more natural. And so all of that are things that a lot of people have, you know, seen without seeing. And it is something that we have said before, which is like good design is invisible. You basically don't see the design itself. You are just using the tool, and when you are expecting to do something somewhere, it's just there. And it's just, I think I said that last time as on my iPad at some point I said it would be nice if I could. Oh, I can. Like that's the situation that happened to me, and that's basically what you want to have in your apps when you're building something. Is just what would the user try to do in that situation, and how can I make that happen? So if I'm gonna use like my own stuff because it makes sense for me, obviously. If I'm on my own apps and let's say I'm here and I'm like, well, I have a card. I want to access the perfume itself. My user would probably say, can I tap on it because it's a fucking card? It makes sense. So you want to be able to tap on it and then access something that makes sense. The thing that happened here is I would love to see the details of the perfume. For example, if I tapped on it, oh, I can do that. So that's the type of thing that you try to put in place as much as possible because you're like, oh yeah, I would love to be able to long press an element to delete it or organize it. Oh, I can do that. And so even though these things are kind of hidden in like the whole flow, and you might not know that you can long press something, you might not even know that you have like a grid view and you might just be there. Just by the fact that at some point you will be like, it would be nice if I could long press and then it just works. That's the type of surprise that I kind of want to have in most situations, in most of the apps, just because it makes sense and it helps so much to be like, oh, I would love to be able to just search for something and it's just search and it works, or I would love to be able to enter like the notes and go to the next one. Oh, I can do that. You know, that type of situation is the main point right here. So figuring these things out and figuring that on dots was pretty neat. Nonetheless, moving on. I like this one for one specific reason. There is another tool that is called Joy Software. And that today and that red is exactly the same. So I'm guessing that this is a copycat again, based on some of the design in the back, but also some of these things. So we'll see if this one is going to survive, but I have a lot of doubts when it comes to these. And that's the thing that I was talking about earlier. Dang. Stony, and I know you're probably out. This is the thing that I saw and I was like, this is a good use of a Figma prototype. and not doing it in code because that might be a bit more complex to do in code. But then Jay did it in like 3 seconds, so I'm guessing it's not that hard. Um, but that's a good use of a Figma prototype. It's something that is a bit more graphical and visual than anything else, and creating a prototype for that makes a lot of sense. But then again, Jay came in with the exact same thing with a much better rendering of how you could create an entire interactivity things for that card, and it just works. It's so fucking impressive every time. Every fucking time. So yeah, we do like this. We do like that a lot. Um, we've had another things. These ones, I don't know how these popped in my feed, but they are really cute. That's it. They are really cute. Really cute fishes. Uh, and this one was really about the organicness, non-organic of this poster thing. It's using a lot of dithering, it's using a lot of very sharp edges, but also these bleeds or ink traps situation. That's a very human-made situation creation poster thing. Which again, I feel like this is one of the newest trend, latest trends of making sure that the thing that you are creating are outputted as non-AI generated. And so that's a very, I mean, to my point, or from my point of view, a very interesting thing because it contained a lot of AI generated tropes, as in the dithering and the colors themselves. But then with all of these organic shapes and uncommon placement, it feels more human than anything else. So that's just a small point. Just a small point. We had the same thing for dots again. You know, good stuff. A lot more cats. And we have the thing that I shared earlier, which doesn't make any sense for most people. The same thing here. This is a bit of a organic, not organic situations where you want to create something that is not AI generated. So that radio thing in the center is not something that most people would create, and it's not something that an image generation would be able to create by its or on its own. And same thing for the background element, the concave and boast elements. All of these things are bringing back some of the design that we used to have in 2013, 2010. And so that's a very interesting thing to see, that a lot of people are, or a lot of designers specifically, are bringing back some of these organic, natural, physical shapes in their whole design to make sure that we have something that is more organic made and human made. So that's the thing. So yeah, that's the overall thing. I need to pee though. 1 second. Anyways. Anyways. Other than that, not much. We had other things, as always, on threads that I kind of looked at, but not that much happened. Hmm. Mhm. I see. Are these like in public domain situation where you can use them? I'm guessing yes, that's what public domain means, but huh. One day, huh. One day I will be able to read this. Oh, goddamn. Yeah, no, yeah, no, I agree. I agree. The organic stuff right now is basically including some of these directly inside of the outputted design. So the best example, one of the example that we have is um is it that one? No. I mean this one is a good one, but it's not the one that I had in mind. Scary is one of them that we have talked about before, is the very organic presentation of the page. The page is really classical. It has the grid, it has everything, and there is a lot of very high contrast thing that you can't see because it's really shit. But it has this organic placement for the phone, this organic placement for the coffee mark, and you know, it's not much, but just create that kind of fun situations where you were not supposed to see that this way, if that makes any fucking sense. So yeah, that's one of the fun stuff. God damn it, that's the wrong thing. But yeah, for the organic stuff, it would be basically using or reusing some of these um, to go through and use. Like, let's say you have uh, heads of statues or ceramic or stuff, and then you use that inside of the design. So, like, shit like this would be amazing to point out. Like, maybe you have your premium plan right about there, and you have this little guy just pointing at it as a that's a good deal situation. It makes no sense, but it's just like it works. Um, you know, it needs to make sense in terms of what you put on your fucking website, but yeah, that's interesting. I never think about like the museum stuff. Um, there is one. I can't show you them. There is one. Um, that's gonna take a while. Also, I haven't been on social media for a while, so it might not be that much of a while. Um, there is, I doubt, I doubt, God damn it. Basically, there is a guy that is doing a new note-taking tool again. It's basically a very simple stack of to-do list that you can have on your phone, and the goal is to basically scan the ones that you have written by hand, so you can write them by hand on paper and then scan them so that you have them on your phone and synced through all of your devices. That's really nice as a concept, but also obviously I'm looking for it. I can't find them. Is that the one? I think that's the one. I think they might. Yes, it is. That's the ID. Obviously, this is like the perfect presentation, right? You know, but they basically just have this stack of card thing, and so what I saw the first time was this, and obviously it's on purpose. The stack is so perfect and so on. It is such a perfect thing, and the colors are so much saturated and so on that it feels like the bottom one doesn't make any sense, like as if it's fake. But also I laughed a lot because that's on purpose. Like there is no question. Like I mean, it's there's no question. Uh, so you know, like that's the. It's a very interesting subject and content and ID, but yeah. Eh. I click on that list link thing. Oh well, I think I know what it is. Yeah. No, you have like a parenthesis at the end. Don't worry about it. Because you have the entire thing with parentheses. So yeah, it happens. But yeah, this is pretty cool. And specifically because you have variations in the font itself by like a smidge of nothing. As in these ones are bold, and from far away it looks like that's not the case. So, you know, looks more organic and such. It's neat. But yes, this is really cool. And the stacks in question, I would say, as a stack connoisseur, you might want to get one wild one. Just one. You know, like right now you are in that department where they are slightly offsetted, not really visible and so on. But maybe the one that is like at the bottom corner or something, like this one, or one that is in the center if you want to break the grid, to be just just so much more than that slight shift. I think the one that is the biggest shift is this one. And that's like not a lot. Yeah, they are all kind of the same. So yeah, if you had like one of them that is maybe, I don't know, I'm gonna do that really quickly, but if I have that and that, um, right, and that's my paper. So paper is gonna be, let's do 35, so it's a bit lighter than the rest. This thing, in order to get like the effect, I'm just gonna have a very basic shadow because that way we kinda see it. If I do this and I just shift them by like a smidge, right, which is your current case roughly, that already is way more than what you have. But if I go back to the initial take and I'm saying, well, the second one is going to be here, like that's a wild differentiation. And then this one is going to be just a smidge, and the bottom one is going to be on the other side just a smidge. You end up with one of them that is just wildly offsetted, but that's still not good because something's missing. If you take that one that is wildly offsetted, you just do that. It's just a smidge on this side, right? So a lot more on the other side. And that makes it stand out without really making it stand out too much. And from there, you don't really need to have that much rotation as long as it's offsetted, because when you put paper on the table, one of them or two of them in the top are gonna move a bit, but not that much. And that just stands out a lot more than what you currently have. The thing that you have is pretty cool because most of them have such a slight offset that I can see that the grid is not like a proper grid, which is really cool. But if you change that, yeah, like these rotations. I like the print version, to be honest. The text printing effect is pretty cool. The only thing that is potentially bad, it's not potentially bad, is the fact that it is always full line by full line rather than character by character, per line per line. Like I would potentially go with a typewriter effect of per character, and then yeah, side to side and up and down doesn't need like so much, but the fact that this is, from my point of view, they all are rotating from the same center point, and yeah. Also, you have things that just piss me off, but that's a me thing. Don't worry about it. um, do you have? God damn, that's crazy. Your content. Do you have a class on your content that is defining the text inside? Is that the case? I guess. That's your card itself. Oh, that's the thing. Yeah, you have the fucking text shadow. um, so the text shadow adds some things, but it's not really good. And it's usually pretty bad. So personally speaking, I would get rid of the text shadow because it doesn't make any sense. But however, in order to get that to work, I would get each of these to be a blend mode instead. So either background blend mode or sorry, I'm writing in fucking. That's not the background thing. Thanks. Bitch. Sorry. So overlay is gonna have an effect that kind of bleeds in, which is pretty good. And with the type of ink that you want to have, which is either how is it called, a red base or a blue base ink, you can have some effects. So it depends on the color of the text and so on, whatever. But you can also have shit like do we have plus lighter in there? No, I'm guessing it's gonna be plus darker. I don't think we do. Hmm. I guess the soft light's pretty good right now. It's applied, bitch. It's applied to the entire card, which is not exactly what you want, but you want that to the text only, and then just doing that wrongly. But yeah, that's the type of shit that you kind of want to have to not make it that much of a floating text. Right now, based on what you have in the text shadow and no blend mode, your text itself, even though it does look from far away a bit fuzzy, as you want in typewriter things. Let me see. It's gonna be so bad. Most of the times, the effect that you have and the things that you want is, and it's a per character thing, you have different kerning because your machine is not necessarily working well, and the spacing in the brackets, the things, the rake, I don't know how they are called, the metal stuff that are typing the letters, may have some bends to them. So maybe your D is a bit too much to the left. Hammers, yes. Compared to the O that is a bit too much to the right. And so, you know, like that's kind of the type of thing that needs to happen. So it's a randomized kerning. But also when you're looking at these elements, specifically the E at the end, your ink doesn't necessarily work on each of the characters. So that is the type of small details that would make these cards a bit more natural. Not that they are not, but just like small details that can change how people are perceiving the thing. You can see that here, for example, your W's are really faded. The D's right there, really faded. So there are some opacity changes here and there, but also specifically the W there, which means a lot of things in my typewriter mind, is that it's also a bit blurred. So to me, what that potentially means is that if I'm creating something like this, right? You may have your H being a bit more on the side. You may have this one being like a bit less visible. You may have it be somehow 0.5 rotation or 1 point rotation around the thing. Maybe, I mean, right here, it might be better to have a bit more of it for the effect. So let's do like 8. And that whole thing, instead of having it like overlaid this way, I'm just gonna have an effect that is a layer blur at like 1 point or 2 points to just blur it a teeny tiny amount, and just make sure that it's like aligned with the E itself. So you end up with a bit of bleed, but not too much bleed. Maybe it also has something like a background blur on top of it. So it just goes through blurring what is underneath if necessary. So that's the effect. If you want to have this, it's basically having a per character layer blur. Again, 2 points is going to give you basically what you need. These ones, if I do 40%, it's going to be too little. But yeah, there's also something that we do see most of the time, which is this small detail. But you know, again, from the, we're going to call that the hammer because it makes sense. From the point of view of the hammer, it's supposed to hit the paper like this, right? That's my representation of the hammer. So that's the piece of paper. And so it's supposed to hit the page at an angle from where it is and then hit the page flat. The thing is, it's usually after a while hit the page at this angle. It's such a small detail, I know, but you end up with more ink at the top than at the bottom. And depending on the machine that you have, at least the one that I had was basically this. That was the issue. When you're trying to remedy this by bending it, you bend it too much, and then it's the bottom that is taking the other thing. So you try to put it back in, and you end up with this bitch-ass thing that has too much kerning on the side because it's just pushed it too much to the left. You know, that's what happened. So again, with that in mind, when you're looking at Pinterest representation, you can see that the points are extremely on point. These ones are not touched too much. The eye is used so often that there was no need to remedy it, or it just has been fixed a second ago. I don't know. But like all of that is the thing that makes the font itself look more natural. And you can go and find like one of these fonts that already have the effect and the bleeds and so on, if that's necessary, or if you want to achieve it without really doing that specifically in terms of figuring it out procedurally through the system. Like you can 100% get a typewriter font that has the effect, that has like the bleeds. As you can see, as the top is like more darker, it's darker than the bottom is, and so on. So these are the things that are interesting and important to remember when you're building these cards. Nonetheless, it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. It's just it's more ASCII-y than typewriter-y to me. Not in a bad way, but like, yeah. I mean, you basically tried to do that with the bold version of some of the lines. and it would make sense. Uh, I feel like uh, yeah, one of these things would make more sense, but that's way too complex. It's not. Basically, these effects with the ASCII font thing, whatever in the background, right, that you can use for elements and so on, you could have the exact same thing with a fixed fractal noise in the background. And that could just be good. So you could 100% have the effect being like this, not this, but like this, and have the disruption like that. Make it more typewriter E. You know. But yeah, no, most of these things, that's what I have in mind. Most of these things would be I didn't expect this to go away. That's crazy. You know, you could have an option to just get like your text, and then you get a fractal in the background. So something that is probably some of these. That's using, I don't know, an image or some things to give you like a bit more pastel-y transitions. And then that would be like maybe a speed that is so slow that, what is it? Something like this, like 0.2% or something. So it doesn't really show, like people would not really realize that there is something happening. But every time the card is reloaded, because of the fractal that is used in the background, it doesn't really shows that there is that fractal. So you would have, I forgot. Like that, for example. You can see that they are moving, but not too much. And so by using that with the alpha layer, or as the alpha layer, for each of your characters, you would end up with a variation in colors really simply, really easily. God damn, that's a lot of movement. But yeah, that's a potential, you know, nonetheless, good work. Nonetheless, good work. But you know, that reminded me of that note-taking app thing earlier with the phones thingy. But you know, it's fine. It's good work. It is good work. Yeah, the Unicorn Studio is really cool. If you haven't tried yet, I would highly recommend you to just go there, get a free account, and experiment. The sad thing is that it was free and now it's paid. I mean, kinda, not entirely paid, but it is paid. They want you to upgrade, which makes sense. You know, they were free for like a year, so they have had a lot of usage without any funding. So I get it, but goddamn, it's sad that it's paid now. The Newcom Studio is good. It's not the only one. There is a ton of other tools that are currently coming out because people are like figuring out that they need these things. Um, and Yeah, like that's the thing. I don't know if you, I don't think you do. I'm too much online for these things, and specifically on like other platforms, socials, Twitters, and so on. The tool that I'm using for recording my screen and my iPhone screen, when I need to do a demonstration, so on, is Screen Studio. Screen Studio is a tool that is really cool for automatically doing the zoom to clicks. Basically, if I click somewhere, the software recognizes that I'm clicking in something, zoom into it so that it focus on that specific element in the video, and then zoom out when I'm not doing anything else. So it's pretty interesting. It follows your cursor, and it's nice to see. Nonetheless, it used to be not free, but kinda, and then it became not free, and now it is expensive, but it's still good. And since it is expensive, and a lot of people are just complaining about the fact that it is expensive, and it's like $90 a year. It's not that expensive, but still. It's like a lot of people have been trying to replicate it and create their own version of that tool. And then, weirdly enough, they create it. What do? They release it for a paid price, which is cheaper than Screen Studio, but it's also like basically the same price. So, I don't know. The thing that people were complaining about, and let me see if I can find it. No, not that, bitch. Basically, in their pricing section, they said, or the person that was complaining about it was like, oh, it's too expensive to pay $30 a month for a screen recorder. And I get it. I agree. But you can pay $9 a month. And it's an I know it's for 1 year, but if you are thinking about paying the tool, you probably use it more than once a month. And you will probably use it more than a month. So $9 a month is not that expensive. Specifically, that person in their tweet was like, "Oh yeah, I would love something that is roughly $9 a month." And I was like, "Well, that's right there. That's the price. It's right here. You can." Yeah, it's just wild. It used to be a one-time payment, as far as I remember, and so you had like a license which was costing $80. I think 89 or something. I forgot. And then they had to go to the subscription-based system because of their like one of their feature is hosting and shareable link. So basically, you have the ability to just share a link, and they host the video in a way. So that is something that is now making sure that that shareable link is costing inference, and therefore they need to have a fucking subscription. Makes sense. Like, it technically makes sense. It's the same thing. Like right now on Can and other platforms, right now that's not going to work. It doesn't. Uh, There. There? Yes. So on both of these things, specifically can because it makes no sense, but like right now uh it's a one-time thing, can buy it entirely and I don't really care. So it's the expensive thing, but you can also have the subscription, and the subscription is there for only one thing. Once you pay the subscription, you have the online syncing thing because that costs inference and I need to pay the bills for this thing, and therefore if you are like one user using it, then it makes sense. So that's the point. That is the goal. But yeah, nonetheless, that's the thing. But yeah, Screen Studio was really cool nonetheless. And then people are doing their own tools for cheaper. So yeah. Eh. Eh. And when you said like you learn about SVG gradient and texture, that's also a thing. You have SVG filters that now are something that a lot of people are not aware of, but would probably give you some sub filters effect as well. Yeah, makes sense. But nonetheless, I do agree with you that the one-time payment things right now are mostly in hype. Again, the Prefum app that I have, which I think I did there. No, there. No, there. Um, that is a one-time payment, and it's gonna be 20. I mean, it is $24 once, and then you have access to it forever. The thing that I'm sad about is that technically speaking, $24 is not enough to cover the cost of the inference later on. And so it will cost me more at some point if the app works, which I hope it does. But for now, it's fine. I think if I have, I think it's 5 million users. That's a lot. But if I have 5 million users, active users, I then have to pay Apple a monthly fee for using iCloud. And it's not the cheapest version of a database. So that's gonna hurt. But that's for like in 5 years, I don't know. Not now. That is for sure. That's not a for now situation. Anyways, I am gonna look for someone to raid. My brain is dying right now. No one's live today. That's crazy. That is crazy. Is everyone at a TwitchCon situation or something? That's crazy. That is wild. The people that I'm looking at for rating are only sleeping. No, that's not a good idea. That is not a good idea. Well, I'm gonna send you to Perfect. It's been like, I think a year since I sent you there. So, yeah, variety streamer doing a lot of other things, and mostly gamings. And she's louder than me when it comes to the volume, the overall volume. But also, I have something to redeem in chat, and it's been a while that I've been there. So, anyways, we're going there. It's been a while. It's been a while. I don't know what she's doing today. But yeah, cool stream nonetheless. Thanks a lot for being here. As always, highly appreciated. And now the stream deck works. If you want to watch the VOD for some reason for all the chat about pricing, that's going to be on YouTube. If you want to ask a question when I'm not live, you can join the Discord for that. That's also highly appreciated. And I shall be back on Wednesday. That's the time. At 4:20, as one does. But yeah, as always, take care of yourself. Eat something, drink something, be kind to each other. I shall be back soon. And to police you won, congrats. That's impressive. That's an impressive thing. Good job. Good job on winning. Good job on winning. Yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be fine. Anyways. Bye.